Hello, my name is Jason, and welcome to Plate Stack Chat, the show where I find some fascinating people in the world of fitness and bring them on for a fun, friendly, and relaxed chat around the virtual plate stack. This show is very kindly supported by Strivey, so if you are in the fitness space and you do any kind of online programming or coaching, I highly recommend checking out their website to see how you could use their app. So today I have two first-time guests, and at least one, I believe it's their first time on a podcast. So first up is a man that is collecting gold medals the way my kids collect Pokemon cards. Just this year, he had Scotland's natural under 72 kilogram world champion. Champion. Scotland, bit small, he went bigger. UK and Ireland, under 72 kilogram champion. And then why not finish it up with the world's natural under 72 kilogram champion? It is the very strong Cameron Nisbet.
Hey, nice to meet you, Jason.
Nice to meet you. I said Cameron, but then I've seen your name is Cammy. Some people call you Cammy. This has thrown me. This has thrown me straight away. But yeah, I like the way you've staggered that. You've gone Scotland, then you've been like, I think we can do better. You've gone UK and Ireland, and then we can probably do a bit better than that. Let's just take the world. Why not?
Yeah, the first year of this weight class being in the federation, so I've had to do the full qualifying route. There's not been any shortcuts. I've had to prove myself at every stage.
Okay, well, I have a lot of questions about this, but before we get to them, we need to bring on our second guest, because joining Cameron is someone who also won their division for World Natural Strongwoman, although how she found time, I do not know, when she's very busy doing CrossFit, British weightlifting, and most recently playing rugby. As many sports as she has names, it's Vicky Friss de Kereki.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Jason.
That's all right. Thanks for coming on. It's nice to see you on a screen. So, Cameron, you're in Scotland, right?
Yeah, up in the
further away. You're in the Shetland Islands. Yeah.
Yeah, as far north as it gets.
Yeah. Whereas Vicky, I believe you're like just down the road over there.
Yeah, probably a few blocks away, not too far away. Well, quite far away now that I can walk, but I'll be back there.
Yeah, maybe we need to address that very quickly. So, what's happened to your leg?
Well, it was an almost dream rugby debut. In my first league game, I was about to score a try and just went down. I twisted my knee. At least it's not too bad. So I'll be back soon, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit of a time off.
I can't see you taking time off, so I feel this is strange.
Well, might just do lots of bench pressing.
Yeah,
this is what I was going to say. I imagine there's lots of just like, Z presses, stuff like that. Bicep curls, there we go. So if anybody's like tuned in and they've just seen like the thumbnail or this, and they said that we've talked about you both being these Strongman, Strongwoman competitions, I guess the very first thing I have to say is you don't look like strongmen or strongwomen to me when stereotypically I think about what a strongman looks like. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, missing the power belly.
Yeah. Well, and I would say I was at Rogue last year, so this isn't me being like, in my brain when I'm just pulling out of. I saw some strongmen and some strongwomen. I saw some very impressive performances, but I think that's like the default classic, what we think of.
Definitely. And I'll also add that one that doesn't usually think about strong women is still a mostly male dominant sport. So it's the stereotype is usually huge, mostly men. Nowadays there's more women, and that's amazing. But it's still, say, 150 kilogram people, maybe more. You probably know more about that, Cam. But even with women, 100 plus, I'm 57 kilograms. So those huge, strong women are twice my size. So that's where weight classes come in. Same as weightlifting and same as combat sports, where we compete against people similar size to us. So it's all about relative strength, how strong we are for our size.
Which, I mean, Vicky, you've seen me in person. I'm I'm not a big person, so the idea of weight classes and size and relatives, I'm all for that. That's when I always think I'm in the wrong sports, because I would benefit greatly from weight classes.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if I was to compete just open, my chances would be slim, because in strength, bigger size usually transfers into more weights being moved. So yeah, that makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah, like weight classes just level the playing field. You're actually competing against people the same size as you. I competed this year in the local, like Shetland, the island I'm from, the local open competition, and placed fourth while winning a world championship in my weight class. So it just shows like how big a disparity there is. Just the amount of body weight you carry, you can be a lot stronger.
Is yours the smallest weight class?
Yes, the lightest weight class for the men,
Yeah.
and Vicky's in the lightest female weight class.
Yeah. So I mean, I still think then like fourth is impressive. I get it was obviously a small, a very small competition, knowing the size of the Shetland Islands, but still, like, I'd imagine you had to move some pretty heavy weight to do that.
Some of the weights at that competition were heavier than the world's weights for my weight class.
Right.
So it's tough.
You said this was the first year having that weight class.
Yes. So the first year of natural strongman having under 72 kilos.
So, but you competed last year as well.
Yes. So generally, what happened when I started out was I started competing in previously the lightest weight class was under 80 kilos. So I've competed against under 80s quite a lot of times where the weights are a good 10% or so heavier, which has, I think, really given me an edge now that I'm competing against folk my own size, that I'm used to having to push that bit harder or further. But also last year, there's a promoter, Ash Lappage, he started putting on under 70 kilogram competitions. So I attended those as well. And I think really he's the one that's gotten the ball rolling with having a lighter men's weight class to mirror the under 57s, which has kind of been ticking away for a few years now.
Naturally, sort of, where do you sit weight class wise? Like, is it easy for you? Are you having to cut to get under to do some of these competitions, or is it quite a natural fit for you, sort of around that?
Not
that sort of
having
weight?
to cut so much yet. I originally cut to, when I was competing at under 80, I was trying to bulk up and gain mass, which I struggle with. So I got up to about 79, and I was a little bit cuddly, we'll say. And ended up eyeing up these niche records in like a very niche federation that had an under 70 weight class, and I thought I could get to that. So I leaned right down, weighed in like without any water weight manipulation, like fully dieted down to under 70. And then from there, I just sat around 72 for about a year. And I'm actively trying to gain size again.
Okay. Would you like to go up a class, or you are very happy sort of where you sit now?
I think in a few years, I'll probably move up. But with Strongman, the weight classes are usually done with 24-hour weigh-in slots. So it's 24 hours before the competition starts, you weigh in, which means, like a lot of combat sports, you can do quite drastic water weight cuts, lose a lot of weight, and then in the 24-hour period before the competition, rehydrate, eat, like get sodium back in your system. So realistically, I could be weighing nearer 80 and still fitting in the under 72s.
Okay. Manipulating the system. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this camera, but I guess if everyone's doing it, Vicky, you're no stranger to weight classes, because you've also been doing British weightlifting.
Yeah. So actually, the first time I went into Strongwoman, it was just by chance. See how it goes. It was back in February. I was coming back from a long trip back to Uruguay, where I'm actually from, and I was weighing like 63 kilograms. So I just went to the under 64s because I wasn't gonna cut while I was enjoying my time in Uruguay. I was just eating everything. I did the 64s there. I just did good enough to qualify to UKs. That's when I was gonna compete in a big weightlifting competition. Weight classes used to be under 59s, but they just recently changed to under 58s. So there I had, starting the day after my birthday, I had 3 weeks where I was meant to cut to 59, but suddenly I had to cut to 58. In 3 weeks, I barely made it. That morning, weightlifting, the weigh-in is 2 hours before the competition. I was in the sauna that morning. I just made it, goal accomplished, and then I lifted what I wanted to lift. But long story short, I was then in 58, and UK's Strongman was just a month later. So doing the maths, I was like, does it really make sense to do it in 64s, or might I just drop a weight class, which is allowed in Strongman, and go to 57s? And so I did. Right now, I actually just sit around like 58.5. So just making it to 57 is relatively easy. For the last few times, I haven't needed to cut, neither for weightlifting nor for Strongman. Just say, be careful in the last few days, be careful with the water, and I'll be all right. But it gets quite tricky because it does take knowing yourself a lot, knowing how you're eating and what you're doing. Because if you overeat it, I could so easily just gain so much weight like I had done around February. So it is like you're constantly playing there with your weight, like enjoy but not too much.
Yeah, and at the moment you can't walk, so you've got to be extra careful.
Yeah, well, there's a tricky thing there, because I'm also just like, well, I'm not counting calories. Well, I can't even walk. I'll just eat whatever's good for my soul, and I'll fix it once I'm back on 2 legs. Yeah, if I can move around, I'm not gonna be like dieting, so I'll get it fixed later. Problem for future me. I'll be all right.
Yeah. Well,
Vicky's going to do 64s next year.
Yeah. I hope my knee gets sorted fast, or otherwise I'm right.
Yeah. I hope next year when you're doing the 64s, you start playing this clip back to yourself, and you really hate that Vicky. You're like, oh, she set me up. She knew this was going to happen.
To be fair, you might find it funny, but like 3 years ago, I had hurt my foot. I had gained weight up to like 67, 68 before surgery. After surgery, I did the same thing. I was just eating what my soul wanted. So eating all the ice cream and everything. Without trying, I just cut to 57 while eating anything. My stomach got so small, and also I lost so much muscle and everything that's when I originally cut a weight loss, because accidentally after surgery, and then when I started training again, I started burning and still wasn't eating it enough. So I just went down totally.
Yeah.
So
this is the thing that really upsets my wife, because this is what I do all the time. Like currently I'm in one of those periods where I'm super busy. I've got no time, and training's not going great. So then also eating's not going great. And then I'll get to the point where I'll just be really annoyed and go, oh, I've just got to get, back on track. And then it's like 2 weeks later, I'm completely back to where I was before. And she does not think this is fair. So I see. But you seem to you've got that skill as well, Vicky. So that's good. Well done.
How many times have you been to a gym this week?
This week? What day are we today? Wednesday. Well, as long as we don't finish this too late, I will go in for the 8 o'clock class tonight. And that will be the first time this week, Vicky. So just, I was meant to go in on Monday, but I had the dentist, and it wasn't a great visit, and so I wasn't really in the mood to then go to the gym after that. And yesterday was so but hey, don't worry about that.
Better
don't worry about
me.
No, I think I went twice last week. I think that was the first week in months that I've gone twice. This isn't. You're not meant to come on my show and start calling me out for not going to the gym. That's not fair.
We're going to start asking you the questions.
Yeah, but the thing she also knows is that I am literally a 5-minute walk from the gym. It's just down the road here. So I have no excuses. This is the problem. But I will. And you know what we're doing today? Strict press. So can go in and
I'm so
feel
jealous.
bad again. I'm not jealous.
I was so looking forward to that session. Now I'm missing it just because I can't even get there. And I can't even stand on 2 feet, but I was really looking forward to setting a new 1 rep max strict press.
Well, you've set a. So I don't know if she's told you this. You might have seen it on her social media because pretty sure she was sharing it. But she got a new PB for her strict press last week, and what was previously like a 1 rep max PB she did for free as well. So she just had to kind of
Yeah. Vicky's pressing upsets me. I wish I could press as good as Vicky.
Well, that's the one thing I can do because it's a weightlifting strength. Just give me your sandbag power and
pressing's my Achilles heel.
Is it? Well, I wanted to ask about this because I have, believe it or not, I have interviewed strongmen and strongwomen in the past. So I do know a little bit about it. And as I said, I was at Rogue and I've seen it in that. And I know that generally the way the events work, people kind of have, their specialities or the things they're going to be. And particularly it seems when it's maybe going to be like this event is a little bit more cardio hidden in there than, a deadlift ladder or something like that. So it's sort of, I was curious for you, what are the strengths and weaknesses and where they sort of sit. And if, and I'm wondering if I wonder if there's as big a discrepancy in people's strengths and weaknesses in some of the lighter weight classes as there maybe is in some of the heavier ones where, you're going to have some people that are lifting ridiculous numbers, but please don't make me run to the end of the arena. So yes, what are your strengths? And if anyone's listening to this because they're going against him in competition, just don't do that. That's me.
So
Carol,
you're kind of bang on there. There's everyone's leverages and proportions and what they enjoy will determine what you're better or not so good at. Like being shorter, you don't have to press or deadlift weights as far, but it's harder to load an Atlas stone to a platform. Or shorter arms, you don't have to press it so far, but you have to deadlift it a lot further. So there is kind of back and forth like that. But for me personally, anything involving sandbags, the more cardio conditioning based events it is, the better. Like my conditioning is something I work on a lot, and the actual skill of working with sandbags, love that. I think I'm decent all around at most things, but pressing is just, it's a puzzle I'm still trying to figure out a bit. Longer arms, like I was saying, so it's got further to go, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I like quite humbly you're saying, I think I'm pretty decent at everything. I mean, I will remind you that you won. So I also think, I've not seen you compete, but I also believe you are probably pretty well-rounded and pretty good at everything. I don't think you win if you're just really good at one event. Although I don't know, actually, with the scoring system, is it quite evenly weighed in the sense that kind of, even if someone has got, a strength and a hole in the game almost, it can kind of balance out, or will having one particular weakness absolutely tank any chance you have of kind of progressing?
The more events there are, the more you can kind of get away with a weak event, because the scoring system, say if there's 10 athletes in a category, if you win an event, you get 10 points. If you come last in that event, you get 1. With the caveat, if you don't manage it at all, you would get 0. So generally, consistency is what pays off. You can have someone that wins 4 out of 5 events and comes dead last in 1, and they end up losing to someone that just places second in everything. Because they have the consistency and they accumulate more total points.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. You look like you're about to say something, Vicky.
No, just adding to that. For instance, at Worlds, I started with an event win. Then on the second event, I came second to last. Then I just started climbing from there. But the main thing was the second event, I had barely practiced it because my I didn't have the right equipment, and also I was maybe a bit lazy to travel to the gym with the right equipment. So it was a joke carry, and I had basically tried it for the first time 2 weeks before, and was there texting Cam like, hey, any tips about this? Of course, that didn't go great on the day. But anyways, as I did pretty well on the other events, I managed to let's forget about that one event that I really messed up. I knew I would, and just keep climbing. It can only get better. But
Yeah. It can only get better. Cam, how long have you been doing like strongman stuff?
So I started doing strongman with the local novice competition in summer of 2021. And
right. Okay.
Since then, I believe Worlds was my 21st competition. So I've been packing them in since then.
Yeah. So when you hear someone like Vicky talk about her kind of very casual approach to starting Strongwoman to then, was this your second competition then, Vicky?
Well, technically my third, because I did the Welsh, I did the UK and Ireland, and the third was Worlds. So I was just joining for the fun, and suddenly
it's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. Is it a little bit frustrating?
Yes, absolutely. I'm not going to deny it. There's so many times where I see Vicky performing, and I just think, even when she does quite well in an event, I think if you practice that more, you could just be dominating, and it's so much potential.
There's one thing where I'll say my training did pay off. Like, most of my training has actually been training CrossFit, conditioning, doing the workouts and the classes. I feel that did pay off along the longer weekend. There were 7 events, and mostly on the last event, I saw many underperformed due to probably lack of conditioning. By the time you get to the last event on Sunday, your body is tired. Even if it's short events and everything, all the accumulation, the stress of just being there, your body is tired. I saw the event was yoke circus carry, so carry it like here, and then run with the sandbag over and do it again. So many struggle with the sandbag that I've seen when they showed their training videos. They could do it so easily, and then on the day they were just knackered. They just looked at the sandbag, couldn't move. Many who were like falling with the yoke. Feel there's where the CrossFit conditioning came in, because when I had to perform on that last event, I was almost as fresh as always, because I'm used to the longer CrossFit workouts where I just keep going for 20 minutes, maybe even more, and you just keep moving. Just press your teeth and move forward. Just don't even think about it. Pick up the sandbag and run with it. So that actually played in my advantage, just having conditioning versus only train proper strongman, as I feel most people do.
Well, that's interesting because Cameron, you said that like for you, conditioning is probably one of the almost advantages you have. Your conditioning's always been pretty good, and you feel that kind of helps you out. Is that something that maybe gets neglected in training for strongman?
Yes.
Oh, without a doubt. It's not as sexy. It's not as fun. It's like, everyone wants to lift the heavy weights, and I get it, because that's what you associate strength with to an extent. But it's not about who can do the best on 1 or 2 events. It's like I was saying earlier, it's who can do the best across all of the events you're presented with and have that consistent performance over the whole competition.
So for you, what's your kind of like conditioning routine, or how are you? Oh, I'm assuming it kind of partly it's probably your back, all the sports you did growing up or things you've done in the past leading up to starting strongman. But for you now, like incorporating that into your training, what does that look like?
Well, I actually don't have a sporting background. I started going to the gym having been completely inactive until about 17 years old. But my current conditioning is all opposite of what Vicky said, very strongman specific. It's
Right.
a lot of like sandbag complexes, like EMOM work, just like lots of doing things for longer than you want to do them. Yeah. Generally, like carries for max distance, minimal rest periods, things like that.
Yeah. So like it seems like Vicky's is a more general kind of conditioning, as in 20-minute AMRAP, just keep going, like just building that, having that strong cardio base, that kind of. You seem very focused on the kind of is that like a accumulation of time under tension, of reps, of just being able, because I mean that is the thing that will, I suppose, going back to Vicky's point of like people on the last day, things they could do in training that they just can't do. It's not because you're out of breath. It's not like, oh, I just don't have the energy to run. It's like my arms aren't working. They're just not. Yeah. I mean, that was this last week, this stupid strict press workout we did. The strict press was fine. And then we had to do was that handstand push-ups, ring dips and push-ups.
Yeah.
And everything was horrendous. Like I did the first set of handstand push-ups, went to the rings. I was like, they've never felt so hard. Then we went to do the push-ups. I'm like, these have never felt so hard. What is going on? I could just feel my body shutting down.
Yeah.
Like over in the corner grinning. Oh.
Something that I don't know if you would tie it into conditioning, but that people also don't factor in is the order the events are placed in a competition. Like this last event that Vicky was saying about the Zurcher yoke sandbag medley, some people would maybe be training that when they were fresh and think, oh, I can manage the comp weights, no bother. Whereas I'll always try and structure my sessions roughly in the order of the competition. So that by the time I get to that, I'm already tired. I already don't want to do it. But you still have to find that second gear to push through it. Which
do you do kind of like simulation days then, where you'll sort of simulate kind of maybe not to the exact extent, but try to kind of like, well, this is roughly the amount of work I would need to get through on a competition day?
So sort of. More so if it's like a typical 5 event comp rather than 7, then on a Saturday, I would do all the events excluding the deadlift, which I'll do through the week. I might not do them like you're saying I almost never do them to full comp weight, but I will do some sort of rep or set scheme or work on speed for a carry rather than max weight, but running in that sort of order so you know what to expect on the day.
I'm also very curious now of how you got involved in the first, because you're saying like you don't have a sporting background until 17. So was this like the first thing you started doing? What did you start doing at 17?
Okay, so
here we go. Strap in, Vicky. Let's listen.
There we go. Sorry, this is the podcast now. So my friends at the time did athletics. They did shot put. And they obviously went to the gym to do strength training for that. And at that point, I was just gaming. I wasn't doing anything else, really. And they were like, I'd left school. I hadn't started a job yet. I was doing nothing. And they were like, you need to do something. So you're coming to the gym with us. And I was, no. And then the next day, they just turned up. And they're like, you are coming to the gym. And I was, oh, all right. And when I started, I couldn't do a push-up. I couldn't bench the empty bar. Like, it was just not the most structured sessions in the world. It was very like bro training or whatever. You were just going in, getting a pump, throwing some weights around. But within like 2 sessions, I was like, this is awesome. I love this. I can't get enough of this. And funnily enough, they don't even train anymore. My friends that initially got me into it.
Well, they're too busy gaming now. That's
it. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how I got into the gym initially. And then up here, there seems to be a bit of a strongman funnel, because generally the people that get more serious about lifting or training start to go to the gym, the Shetland Weight Training Club. Correct. And there's just a lot of strongman kit there. There's a lot of people doing strongman, and you're maybe doing your powerlifting or bodybuilding workout or whatever, and you're looking over at someone lifting a log, and it's like, that looks fun. I kind of want to try that. And just, it seems everyone gets sucked into the strongman funnel of just, oh, let's give this a go. And it's like, oh, this is fun. Like, I want to do this. And yeah.
See, I literally had that as a question of, is it fun? I was really curious. Like,
Oh yeah.
he's saying oh yeah.
I mean, I'd say definitely. Now that you mentioned that, you look at the equipment, it looks fun. I feel that's also how I tried it for the first time back like a year and a half ago, almost by chance. We were at this gym in Cardiff where I was living and studying. We were with the weightlifting club. I guess I was a bit bored, and this guy next to us was doing strongman. My coach back then introduced me to, this was Ben. He's one of the organizers of the Welsh Natural Strongman. He introduced me to Ben, and he was like lifting axle and showed me how to do it. It's like, oh, this is so much fun. Automatically, like my whole session that hadn't been great, now I was having so much fun just trying this new equipment that I had never used and figuring it out. So what Strongman has, it's, I mean, different to like usual gym and bodybuilding that Cam was mentioning. Like in Strongman, you're always doing new stuff. Well, similar also to CrossFit, like everything is, there's always something new. So that's just makes it way more fun than just bodybuilding. I'd say the one disadvantage is that it has so many new things, so many new equipment, that it's also hard to get, but there's the adapt and conquer. Just do the best you can with what you've got, and there's always something similar you can do. But there's so many different movements if you want to actually and properly train for it. But it's definitely way more like fun and impressive.
Yeah, like quickly to add to that before we move on, I do my own programming as well, and every competition's like figuring out a new puzzle, because you're like, oh, this combination of events in this order, and then you can look back on what you've done previously and try and slot everything together to build the program for that competition. And it's just, yeah, I love it.
So do you quite like it when I suppose there is that level of, you know, oh, I don't have access to this, or I'm not going to be able to, you know, or it's like a new piece of equipment that's going to be kind of almost unveiled at the event, or you're thinking, I'm probably not going to get to practice with that beforehand. But do you quite like the fact that there will be something new? There is something for you to kind of, the evolution of the sport, I suppose, the fact that there's constantly, you know, oh, they're going to bring out something that we haven't used before. Like, is that a good thing, or is that I don't know. I don't know if I want to mess with something I haven't tried.
It's like exciting and scary at the same time. At Worlds, we have the Hercules hold. Though it's not something new, it's something I feel most of us athletes couldn't really try, wouldn't really test it, because, I mean, Hercules hold is the one you're holding on your sides and just gripping to it for it not to fall. So it's a grip test. And most of us don't have that equipment. I feel just a couple of gyms in Scotland maybe had it. But I remember queuing up with the other under 57s about to go, and we all looked at each other like, have you tried it? Nope. Have you? Nope. Any strategies? No idea. Just do your best. I think just one of the girls had actually tried it, and either she won or got second. All the rest of us, we were like, yeah, just hold to it, do your best, and see how it goes. And I was first in that one. So I couldn't even see what others were doing. I just like went, held it, and suddenly I was like, oh no, this is really bad. Just like holding it, like suddenly you're just trembling there and you have no idea what's going on. But it's like, so I was saying, almost none of us had actually tried it. So at least it sounded exciting, but it's also like, well, I really don't know how this will go. So it's like a bit of nerve-wracking too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious though, Vicky, where you sit in all of this, because you bounce around sports like nobody else. That, you know, with the British weightlifting, with the, I mean, I know quite a few people that will do like CrossFit and weightlifting, or maybe CrossFit and Strongman, or they've had, you know, or generally it's like a background in something else that they do. But you seem to be everywhere.
Well,
is there a part of you that's like, you know what, I'm all in now on this one, or are you going to just continue to kind of be all in on everything?
I feel I just really enjoy challenging myself and see what I can do. So as Cameron was saying, if I maybe actually committed to one, maybe I could go further. But also, like last year I was fully training weightlifting. I mean, well, maybe a year and a half ago I was just training weightlifting, and I hadn't been doing CrossFit for a while. I hadn't been doing my like workouts and stuff, so I had actually lost fitness. Then at some point I started working with my weightlifting coach I had back then. Started just doing more CrossFit and just like adding weightlifting as like the extra credit, just doing some extra weightlifting and then the CrossFit class, like some snatches in CrossFit, some clean and jerks in CrossFit, and like just mixing up, going by feel. The thing is, came to the English Nationals in December, and it was my best competition ever. Like it just all went great when I had just been doing more CrossFit instead of only focusing on weightlifting. I feel I had got some pressure off myself, had started like enjoying it more by just enjoying the CrossFit classes. I like feeling fit, so I feel I had been missing that. And then in the British Champs last July, that's when I did even better. Also, like by just having fun. I feel that's a big component, just like enjoying myself and being fit, and like they're all things that still complement each other because they're all strength sports, and the conditioning really makes a difference there too. But removing the pressure of just focusing on one thing and having to perform, I feel that has really made a difference. And I feel like as long as I'm enjoying it, it works.
Okay, I like that you said they'll complement each other. So for now, we'll let it slide. We won't stop you if I see you signing up for like an ultra marathon or something. I might have to step in and be like, look, this isn't gonna. You have, haven't you?
I did do High Rocks in May, but and I have marathon last October, but details.
Yeah.
They're just details.
Okay. They're just details. Yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, I just did the High Rocks for fun, but didn't really train for it. So I just wanted to do it because it sounded fun.
You just had to tick it off the list. Yeah.
Well, it was Cardiff, so Principality Stadium. It was like a big thing. So I was just like, I so want to do it. I'll just do it.
Amazing. All right, we approach fitness very differently, you and I, Vicky. I like this.
Yeah.
Kevin not being able to do push-ups when he was starting was probably the wildest thing I could hear today. There you go.
Yeah, that's. I wish I had more pictures from back then because it's been quite a transformation.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I like. I also. So my brother was like every sport. So football season, he's playing football. Then it's, tennis season, he's watching tennis. Then he's out playing tennis. Like he was all in on every sport. I could not care less about sport. I was like, this doesn't interest. So I did sport at school, like the mandatory kind of, it's PE class, do the sport. So I can sort of play all the sports in that I know the rules and I can kind of have a go.
Yeah,
I did not care. Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like I started doing CrossFit when like however long I've been doing it now, since I've been back in England, I guess. And that's been just the only time I've ever been really consistent doing something. And then I kind of went all in on just like being interested in fit. And I think for me, the big difference is why, and even with the strongman stuff, I feel there's a similar thing there in that I find it very easy to quantify it. So it's like, you can pick up this thing, I can pick up this thing as well, and I can see exactly how much heavier the one you're picking up is than the one I'm picking up, or how many more reps you can do, or whatever it is. Whereas if I'm like watching football, it's like, okay, you're better at this than me. I understand that. But I can kick a ball and you can kick a ball. And I can't quite quantify why the way you kick a ball is so much better than the way I kick a ball. Whereas with like the fitness stuff, it's very easy to see because I'm like, yeah, makes perfect sense. So when I see something and I'm like, that's really impressive. I can't believe he can lift that. That's incredible. So that's, so I feel it's a similar thing with the strongman stuff because I've seen the weights these people are throwing around. It's not,
I mean,
it's crazy.
You mentioned like sticking to sports since you started like getting back in England and all that. But to be fair, as a kid, I did same as your brother so many sports. Then say 8.5 years ago, I started CrossFit, and that's the one sport I've actually kept doing it. I mean, for a while I was more weightlifting, and then went back to more CrossFit, and then like more of one part or the other. But still, it's like the one sport I've been consistently doing over the years, and it's so amazing. Like I've got in my cell phone small sticky notes of my personal records, and every year I just copy paste it and keep going. So I've got the ones from a few years ago, and I still remember when I was doing my first CrossFit Open. That was in 2018. I was doing it scaled. I remember my deadlift was 88 kilograms. Nowadays, my clean and jerk is stronger than that. So I've got a picture from back then that was me lifting my clean PB. It was 55 kilograms. And you look at that picture, I'm really giving it my all. Like I'm just full strength, like horrible technique, but all the passion just lifting it. And now my snatch is just so much heavier than what my clean used to be. And like I just look back at that, and it's like so amazing because I felt so strong back then. I had already made so much progress. My first CrossFit classes, I couldn't do a wall ball, and I was exhausted like dizzy after the warm-up. Seriously. So
I'm gonna let my dog out, sorry.
Okay.
So like the way you can quantify progress and everything that's fitness related, strength related, and everything, I feel is what ultimately motivates and keeps like making you want to go back, even if it's weight lifted, or if it's like PBC in time that something takes, or how fast you can do it, or managing to do a skill that you couldn't do before. So it's just like keeps.
It's all very quantifiable. You can, it's numbers on a spreadsheet or in a sticky note. You can see it. If you lift more, you've lifted more. There's no kind of. It's very black and white, right? So before definitely. I could only do this with 60 kilos. Now I can do it with 80. That's a 20 kilo increase.
How many pull-ups? Strict pull-ups. How many can you do? Like, okay, I managed to do my first pull-up. Okay, now I managed to do 3 pull-ups, strict pull-ups. And then one day maybe you manage to do 5, 8. And like how the progress. When I started, I couldn't do even one of that. Of course, I was like jumping pull-ups and doing my best until one day I managed to do my first kipping pull-up, eventually first strict one. And now I think I can do like 20 maybe. So it's like that progress where you just keep going, and then adding weight to them. But even like with the more basic exercises, those which you should be able to like manage before say than others, even those like you start progressing so much, because at the beginning all that is just so hard.
But then see, like I'm looking back to I'm gonna say Matej. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Like that idea of like I'm not being able to do a push-up it's also something I struggle with envisioning, because it's like with it's more with pull-ups. When people I've had people in the past ask me advice on like, help to get a pull-up, and I'm just like, I don't remember a time when I couldn't do a pull-up. Because I could do them when I was a kid, and then all my life I just kind of kept that skill. So if I was if I was near something and there was like, and then
I remember doing pull-ups in high school, but then when I started CrossFit, I couldn't. So there are many skills which I remember like as a kid being really active, playing outside, hanging around, and doing them so naturally. But then when I suddenly wanted to do them as an adult, it was so frustrating to realize I couldn't. And I expected them to be easy. Like, I remember doing it, but now I can't. So I feel like there's a moment there in teenage years or somewhere where those things used to be so easy as kids. Suddenly we just lost them. I don't know what happened there, but
Well, I mean, like I see the stuff my kids are doing, and I'm like, well, the one that made me laugh the most was at Strength in Depth, like 2 years ago when they introduced the like basically monkey bars. What did they call them? Like traverses.
Yeah.
Well, I think they were called, but they were monkey bars. And it was so funny seeing all these like incredible athletes who are way fitter than me, can lift more than me, can run faster than me, like so much better than me, all terrified about trying to do monkey bars. And they were like, I just can't do them. And they were struggling with them. And because I've got kids and I go to the park, I can do monkey bars. It's fine. I was like, what's your problem? These are easy. Like, it's just this, done. And it just depends what you do, right? Like, sorry, we were talking about the fact that we were still surprised that you couldn't do push-ups.
Fair.
And I was just saying that, you know, like for me, it happened with pull-ups that people would ask, like, you know, how do you get a pull-up? And I just can't remember a time I couldn't do pull-ups because I could do them as a kid. And it was just kind of one of those skills I always kept. Admittedly, I've also always been very light. And before I started training, and because also I said, like, I started doing CrossFit, and that's when I got it. I don't compete. Famously, I don't compete. And I mean, Ollie, one of the owners, has said to me, like, well, you do the open. That's a competition. I'm like, oh, I do the open for the community and for the gym. And I'm not looking at my score. I don't compete. But like I've been pretty consistent doing it. And I've put on weight over the time that I've been there. But I think like the 10 years I lived in Italy for 10 years, and probably the 10 years I lived there from like 18 to 28, I maybe weighed 64 kilos and just stayed at that weight despite, all the different things that went on in my life and then getting married and just everything. Like, I just consistently sat at that weight. And then over the course of training, now I'm maybe at like 70 just from
you can compete against him.
I know we're in the same weight class. I cannot lift as much as him though.
Not yet.
Yeah. No.
I could do.
Do they also have a masters division? Because if they've got the masters division and the weight class, then I might.
They have a masters under 90 division.
Okay. Yeah. Under 90. Oof. No.
Yeah. Bulk up a bit.
Yeah. I don't think it's a good one for you. But I could do with a training partner. So once my knee gets sorted, we can do some log training.
Yeah, give me the time for you to. That's a good idea. The time you've got to heal, that will give me a little bit of time. Cam can send me some of his. He does his own programming. He can send me over some programming.
There we go.
And I'll start. Yeah.
I mean,
I
will have at least maybe 4 weeks before I can train properly again. So.
Yeah, and people will be like, "What's your motivation, Jason? What are you training for?" I know like people are training. Are you training for this competition and that competition? I say no. I'm training to be able to keep up with somebody competing in the under
57s,
under 57 female category.
The world champ, though.
She's a world champion, so there is that. But that would be because I know you use strict press more than me the other day. So
I think I strict pressed more than many people there. Yeah. I enjoy looking at the app sometimes and check the scores, and I feel many might have been frustrated by that one, but I was so looking forward to doing the strict press again today. Yeah. So please enjoy it for me.
Yes, yeah. I can't promise that I'll enjoy it. I'll do it, but it's one of my so I'm again being short and small. I like a squat, I like a deadlift, I like all that kind of stuff. Strict pressing is not my favorite. My shoulders are a bit shot, so like strict pressing is not my favorite thing to do. But I will do it. I'm humbly obedient. I go in and I do what I'm told to do. So that's the best thing. So you do your own program. Do you program for other people as well, or you're just doing your own program? Like, I'm wondering how all in on this kind of going from. Oh, and do you still game, or did you completely? Did you close that chapter of your life?
I don't really have time for it now. I very sporadically I might, but as well as doing Strongman, I play bass guitar in a local band. So between those two things, free time just isn't a thing I have. Really.
Yeah.
But in terms of my programming, I do myself, and then my dad actually trains as well. He competed in Shetland Strongest Man the second ever time it was on, and he came third. And then other than that, he's kind of just trained for what general well-being, I guess.
Right.
And at this point, he is hitting PBs at 52 that he wasn't hitting in his 20s. So he competes. He'll actually be going away to the next two competitions I'm at, competing in Masters categories. And I also program for, there's a young boy that kind of trains at the same time as us for events and stuff, because event training, it's easier with a group, just setting all this stuff up and stopwatches and so on. But yeah, there's a young boy, he's 17, and he's just making ridiculous progress in the last year. And if he keeps going, he's going to be one to watch out for in the future.
Yeah. Are the I guess it's, you know, I don't know if I think like Strongman's been around for a long time. People have known about it for a long time, especially up, you know, in Scotland. It seems it's a very kind of, you know, part of the furniture up there. Like when I think of Strongman, it's one of the first places my brain goes, is sort of up there. However, you know, in the age of social media, even things that were, you know, popular to a degree explode in popularity, right? Because everybody can see it. Is it that sort of like I get, you know, again, as kind of using CrossFit as like a bit of a benchmark, some of the young kids we see that are like taking it up now, the numbers that they are hitting on some of these lifts are absolutely insane. Like you just, they're lifting things that people like 10 years older than them that have been doing it for almost as long are not hitting. Is it a similar? But I feel like with Strongman, like some of the weights that are being lifted by people that have been doing it for a long time are just so heavy that strength takes time.
Yeah, but I would say the standards are always rising. Like,
yeah,
just there's a bigger and bigger just number of competitors, people getting interested in the sport, and just naturally that leads to more and more like genetic anomalies, like freaks that, and I guess understanding of training and how to program specifically for Strongman is improving. So there's just bigger numbers going up all the time in the weight classes and in the opens as well, because you're still seeing Hafthor just pulled a new deadlift world record, like 510, and it looked like there was more there. So the boundaries are always being pushed further and further.
Yeah, it's good for you to have a goal. There's more there. Like I think you can get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just challenge.
Yeah. When I started, I was like, oh, if I can do a 4-plate deadlift, like 180 kilos, it's like lifetime goal. And
yeah.
Like every time I hit like my next goal, I'm like, oh, just, you know, lift a little bit more. So
yeah,
never happy.
What is your deadlift at the moment?
The most I've pulled for a 1-rep max is 270, but I've not done a 1-rep max in about 2 years. So probably more than
like 4 times your body weight, basically.
It was very close to it, yeah.
Almost.
I think, yeah.
280 would be.
Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, not far from that.
Yeah, he's only got almost 100 kilos on me. That's so.
Not much, just surrounding up.
No. Yeah, so if I just keep working hard a little bit, then maybe I'll.
Yeah, I think you've got him. Yeah, you just need to be more consistent training and.
Oh, I need to be more consistent training. That's
every week and you'll be there.
Yeah.
In a couple of months, you'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, I do. It's funny because with my training being so like hit and miss recently, there was a deadlift day and I was in, and one of the coaches saw me and they were like, "Of course, of course you're here when there's deadlifts." I was like, oh, I've got to come and do something I like, something I'm good at. Otherwise,
I mean, there's a thing you mentioned.
Depressing.
Thor's 510 kilogram deadlift, but how much does he weigh?
Yeah, it's that becomes different. The whole body weight ratios thing that kind of falls apart.
I mean, it's not linear, but still, I find it quite impressive that you are deadlifting almost 4 times your body weight.
Yeah,
it would be like if it was that like it was so linear, it would be like if Thor was deadlifting 600 maybe
more than that. He weighs 200 plus.
200 plus. Well, 800.
Yeah, equivalent basically. But I was going to say the under 70 kilo deadlift world record is currently sitting at 305 kilos for an under 70 kilo man, which is bonkers.
Well, you're not that far. And
Yeah.
you said it's been a few years that you haven't tried it, so maybe let's add a
maybe 280, 285,
and then we'll round up a bit, and
yeah.
make sure you've had a
Is
good
that
breakfast.
the natural one or the general one?
That is untested, the under 70 record, but anyone that wants to use it under 70, I'm not concerned. You can't get that big unless you're like 5 foot nothing.
Yeah, that's the same thing I feel about under 57. So
yeah, well, that is an interesting point, because I've noticed that it's all classified as natural under 72, natural under 72. So, is that so you're saying that's not a big concern for you, that you're going to be competing against people that are maybe claiming to be natural, but they're not, because you feel like that weight class, you've kind of.
I mean,
if you're not natural, you'd think you would bounce
time.
out of that weight class. Basically,
So
chances are like we're competing, and like if you look at all the under 57s, we all look similar size, similar height. There was just one that was even smaller and really tiny. I think she was like 55 kilograms, but we were all more or less like same height, same build. I feel like if any of us, like if you start taking something, chances are you will gain muscle. And how hard would it be to like stay so light? You would need to naturally be so much lighter. I mean, I'm not vouching for anyone that I don't know, but in such lightweight classes, I feel there's less chances of there to be a big difference there. Because otherwise, strongman is a sport not particularly known for being natural. So in heavier classes, it does make a difference.
Yeah. So the federation we won the competition in is natural strongman, which does drug testing to like WADA standards. So it is like, it's a very big no-no if anyone's cheating in that. And especially because, I guess, as some of the audience might know, with strongman and powerlifting and strength sports in general, there's not much stigma to using PEDs as long as you compete in federations where it's allowed. So it's, I guess, extra scummy if someone tries to cheat and compete in the dedicated natural federation. But yes, if I am competing in an untested federation in this weight class, I just think you're so limited by the body weight cap that you can't reasonably get that much out of PEDs.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, it's an interesting thing as well, because it seems, I mean, like just looking at kind of the TikTok generation that's coming up, that are very heavily promoting the use of PEDs and different sort of steroids and SARMs and stuff, that they're all very proud of like what they were achieving after, and these are young, like, people that have no way kind of hit that genetic potential yet. They've been training for maybe a year. It would literally have been you going in at 17 doing your kind of, I can't do a press up, let me jump on a cycle. Like, it's insane. So being in a sport that does have, as you said, quite a kind of, for many, an association with that, was there attempt, like, was that something that people were sort of saying to you, like, oh, if you get involved in this or you start doing that, then you're going to see bigger gains, stronger lifts, it'll be better for you? Or have you been able to kind of navigate that quite easily, not kind of having those I would say temptations, maybe it's not the right word, but you know what I mean?
I've only ever competed in tested sports, also competing weightlifting, so I feel it's easier on that side. And also for women, I feel it's different, because the side effects of everything would make you look more manly. So for men, it's like you will just get bigger and your voice might be thicker and you will just look like more man, whatever. For women, you just not great. It's not the same. So it feels just not that easy for women. But Cameron, maybe you have a different point of view.
I would say I feel like I've noticed there's like a generational shift as well in Strongman, that maybe 10, 15 years ago, there wasn't really an option to compete in tested Strongman. So if you wanted to be the best, there was almost a certain pressure that, well, why are you going to handicap yourself and not hop on when everyone else is? And I would say some of the past generation I know of people in that generation that almost advocated for it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, especially with the option to compete in tested strongman, I think more and more, and with the growing popularity, there's people that don't want to jeopardize their health. And at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's a hobby or something on the side. Some of us take it more seriously than that, but it's just not worth it. And there's options to compete in tested federations. So I don't think the pressure's there in the same way that it maybe was before.
Yeah. Do you feel that's then adding to like the popularity and the increase in these tested federations, then the fact that it is for some going to be like, oh, finally, something that's going to level the playing field a little bit? Because as you said, like I do this at the week. I mean, with a lot of us, we've got into kind of doing this kind of stuff primarily for our health, right? Like, this is always fair. It's like, I don't compete, but the reason I train is because my work kind of takes a lot out of me. And if I don't go to the gym afterwards, my body starts to kind of lock up and I feel like uncomfortable. So I train for health. I've got 2 kids. I want to make sure I can, play with them, run around with them, kind of thing. There's a lot of people like me at these gyms, and some of them, especially those that did compete in the past, maybe, they played rugby at university or something like that. They love this kind of, local comps as an opportunity to scratch that itch, right? But the idea of then being like, oh, and I need to hop on this if I want to kind of have fun at these competitions, it just undoes all the other reason why you kind of started training in the first place. If, you're like, oh, I'm going to, my heart's going to swell up 4 times the size that it should be. And that's probably not great for for longevity. So I'm assuming those kind of people greatly appreciate, knowing that they can go and actually compete against people that are, I guess, compelled to also be competing clean.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I'll quickly add that at Natural Strongman Worlds, in the open women's weight class, we actually had the winner of that was Angelica Jardine, who has won the Arnold Classic Strongwoman competition, like the Arnold Strongwoman Classic, like big title, pro show. And she came over and she was actually saying, like, oh, I didn't realize that there was like tested federations or a tested side to the sport, and this is great. Like, I'm glad this is growing because I'm not on anything. And she was saying she felt that kind of almost pressure, and she's just so happy to see that she can compete against other tested athletes.
She came 4th in ROG last year, for reference, Jason.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, she's competing again this year in ROG.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Try to see if I can picture her now, then, because I'm like, oh, what's that? Yeah. Okay, that's all very interesting. I think it's, I mean, obviously for me, I think that's great. Like, I'd rather, like, I don't know if I had an issue with it to the degree, I've always, like, especially as you said, if someone's competing in what should be tested and they're not, and it's just cheating, terrible. A lot of sports where it's untested and people know it's untested and it's sort of a kind of almost choose your own adventure. It's like, but especially as a dad with kids growing up, and I see the like pressures being put on young people now to just jump on this. I'm like, the more kind of, I guess the more heroes you can have that are kind of fit, healthy people, and they're doing something and they're like, oh, and I do it in this division because it's clean and and it's just really what you can do, what you can make your body achieve naturally. I'm all for that. Probably someone later will say, oh, Jason, you're so naive. You don't know that actually there's always ways to cheat the system, and everyone's doing it. I'm like, okay, maybe, but
I mean,
I choose to believe that's not the case.
I'm choosing to believe everyone who claims to be natural actually is. I'm not gonna vouch for people I don't know, aren't my friends, aren't me. But there's I also sometimes, like, one of my mates was mentioning someone who was like, oh, I took this like 5 years ago, but I'm not taking anything now. Can I compete? And he was like, well, no, because if you took something once, you are automatically no longer natural. And some people just don't even see that part. It's like, if I took something 5 years ago, that moment I just stopped being natural forever. It's not now I'm natural again. No, you're not. It's like once you did it once, that's it. So it's like it's hard to know, like, for sure, but still, I know they do a pretty decent job with testing, some random testing and stuff. I've never been lucky enough to get tested anyways. Have you?
Yeah, I'm slightly offended they've not asked me as well.
I was literally offended. I was like, I could really do, because the tests are pretty expensive, and I competing with lifting. I was like, I could really do with a test here. I was like, where's my test?
Do they not test you if you win? That's not like an automatic.
No, but we were talking with some of the other girls on Sunday, and one was saying she had been tested the day before, and the other one had been tested at the English champs. So I think it was just either random or who they actually thought would win or something, and nobody had me in the books. Like, nobody ever thought I had a chance. I didn't think I had a chance myself. So if I was to choose someone on Saturday or Friday to be tested, I wouldn't have picked myself. But after the whole weekend, maybe I would. Like, because I think nobody saw me coming, not even myself. So it's really hard to pick before the end.
I would have picked you if someone had said, "Who are you going to pick?" I'd be like, "I'm going to pick Vicky because I don't know any of the other girls, so I'll pick Vicky." And then probably after event 2, I'd have been like, "Just give me a random name. I'll take that person. They'll be fine."
Yeah.
And then I'd have been disappointed because, like, I should have stuck with Vicky because she pulled it back after event 2.
Yeah.
But but nobody asked me, so that's fine.
Exactly. But
yeah,
I think more people in the heavier weight classes usually get tested. In the lightweights, maybe like someone just test someone and that's it. Because I mean, chances.
Yeah. They test you. They test you by looking at you. They just look at you and go,
I think that's the biggest test. Who looks like, and that's it. It sounds like, well, is it okay? Maybe not, but it is what it is. So
have there been any like scandals? Have there been any kind of anybody that's popped that was oh, we can't believe this person, failed, or people that lost out, podium athletes that then got the podium taken away?
I don't think there's been any scandals. I know there's been at least one person that has failed a test, in which case you get a fine if you fail a test as well, because the tests are, like Vicky was saying, they're very expensive, so they can't just test everyone, which probably some people watching are like, oh, well, why don't you just test everyone to make sure? It's because the tests are not cheap. So it tends to be kind of what Vicky you were half joking about, but genuinely is somewhat aesthetically. Like, if someone looks like they come in and they're as wide as they are tall, it's kind of like, let's maybe check on them.
Do they?
Do
they have people like I don't know, like, so I know, I remember like back in the some years ago with like the CrossFit Games, that people would kind of almost be like, you should test this person. Like there would be people like informing them kind of, you really should test this person because we're pretty sure they're. And so I think for them, like for the whole year, kind of once you're in that pool, that random testing pool, they could call you at any time in the year and be like, right, now we want you to do a test. You've got 24 hours basically to be tested.
I don't think they've got to that level of the testing, have they?
No, it's not on a scale yet where we can get random drop-in tests. I don't think anyone would fancy having to make the trip to Shetland just to test me. But so
maybe that's why you're safe.
Yeah, it tends to just be at the actual competitions. Then some people get flagged for testing.
Right. Okay. Because I think that with like the events I've been to, it's always been sort of they've had random testing up until, and then generally it was like the podium they would test kind of the top 3 and maybe even 4th and 5th, just because if anyone got pulled off of that top 3, then you could then say, well, the person that finished 4th definitely should get 3rd. Or
it takes me back to a scandal South American qualifier where it started dropping down until they had nobody else because they hadn't tested so many teams. But lovely.
There you go. Okay, well, that's interesting.
I don't think that's happened yet, but
no, you never know. I mean, and then obviously there's the people that are like, well, there's always a way to cheat the test, so it's all useless anyway. So like, you can't win no matter what you do. Nothing's ever good enough for people, and then it'll be like, well, they only tested urine, they should have tested blood, and then you're like, okay, you know, that's even more expensive again, and so. Yeah,
I think a combination of just the threat of tests and also, as I touched on earlier, the fact that there are untested divisions where there's no stigma, then I think between those two things, I would be pretty confident that no one, or pretty much no one, is on anyway.
Yeah, I think that the fact that there is there are untested divisions is an interesting thing that I've not sort of had to think about, because usually the argument when people get caught, in the functional fitness space, it's sort of, well, everyone's doing it, all the top athletes are doing it, it's just they're better at hiding it, they've just got better advice, like sort of that's the idea, right? But there is no such thing as an untested division. Like all the divisions are tested. And so so that argument of like, well, everyone's doing it feels not justified, but you can sort of say, I get what I know why you're saying that. But to be like, no, you chose, there was an option here, you could have just gone and done this completely fine, no one would have cared. But to win against people that weren't, like you went, it feels so much worse because you've got the alternative.
I mean, the default is technically untested. All small competitions will be untested. And all the big competitions that don't specifically claim natural won't be testing people. Like Arnold's won't be testing people. I mean, they don't claim themselves, we are untested, but they are not specifically testing people. So like the only one where you will be testing people is the one that claims specifically to be natural. So it's like, if you're specifically going to the one that's natural, well, you'd better be, because otherwise you have so many more options, like infinite options, who are like, do whatever, you won't be tested, and it will even be like, all right, because that's the thing, it's not even frowned upon, like it says do whatever, like nobody cares.
Okay. Interesting. There you go. Final thing then, just to kind of wrap this all up, is what's next, guys? What's well, Vicky, recover, heal. And then we'll start doing some log presses.
I feel I'm 90% out of. I was gonna do Champion of Champions November 2nd. That basically facing all the winners across all weight classes. In my case, being the smallest weight class, I was doing it more like to challenge myself, because of course I don't really have a chance of winning anything, but it would be like a nice like challenge. But this November 2nd is like not too long, so I'm say 95% out. Already messaged the organization to let them know like chances are I won't be making it, because even I'm hoping to be back like training and everything for like by then, but I won't be able to train for it, so what's the point? But unfortunately I think I'll be off. What about you?
If you have to do a Champion of Champions and it's all the different weight classes, what if you've gone up a weight class in between? Is that still fine? Or do you have to compete
No,
at your weight?
that one is just like with it's like
just
a
fine.
weird.
It's an open division, right? You can do what you want.
Yeah, it's open. So unless I wanted to set a world record, the fun thing for me there was that there's an overhead medley that is with axle and log press. So it's 60 log, 70 axle, 80 log, 90 axle. So me being the lightest weight class, I had a big chance there to set not one but two world records if I managed to get the whole run. So that was actually my goal, because 80 log and 90 axle would be world records only for my weight class, not for anyone else. So I was like, well, even if I do it, I might not even win, because if someone who weighs 90 kilograms, for her, maybe this is just easy. While for me, it's like a really big challenge, like something to train hard for. But that was the goal. So otherwise, it's open weight class, so no weighing would even be necessary, unless you want to like get a world record or something. But yeah.
Is that your approach to competition as well, Cameron? You go in thinking, yeah, I probably just, my only goal really is to set a world record. I think I'll just go and casually do that.
I can't say I've entered any competition recently with that in mind, or ever.
Well, you got, the one thing, just overhead pressing is the one thing. We are like, okay, this is it. But
and it's the only thing you can train at the moment, so you should just keep practicing that and just
gonna get even better.
Yeah. What about you, Cameron? What have you got? Are you going to be competing in that kind of?
No, so I'm not doing Champion of Champions because I already had a commitment. At 7th of December, I'm going to be competing in the under 70 kilogram World Championships down in Loughborough. So that's my next comp. And then next year in the natural strongman, I'll do Scotland's again. I've already booked everything for that. And then hoping to do UK and Ireland's next year. They're adding an EU competition. So I'm going to do that and then do Worlds again and see if I can have remotely as good a year next year as I did this year.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem with setting the bar so high.
Yeah.
Is in fact they've had to add a competition, so the only way you can do better is to go and win this extra competition, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's last time I won 3 out of 3. This time I've won 4 out of 4. So there we go.
Yeah, I don't think I'll win 4 out of 4 next year, but I'll do my best.
And if you do, the following year they're gonna have to find a 5th one for you, which is just
then I'll have to do Champion of Champions.
Then you will, yeah. Well, that's the
if
tough
you win
one.
that one, that would be a big thing.
Yeah, I'll do that the following year.
Yeah. Should do it as you move up the weight class. You'll be like, okay, now I'm ready to move to the next weight class. Wonderful. Well, thank you. All the best with that. I follow you on social media now, so I'll be keeping an eye on these events. I have to see if I can get to one of these events. It'll be
I would do it. Do a local strongman comp. It's good fun.
Oh, I just mean to go and watch. Come on, don't be crazy. Let's not get mad. Let's not get mad, Cameron. What are you talking about? Yeah, I've had some. Well, the last time, so I had to do some sandbag cleans for a fundraising thing, and I was doing them in my suit, and that did result in the suit getting ripped. So that was.
Well, don't wear a suit.
Yeah, I won't wear a suit. That's
well, but it's the outfit.
Weird. It'll be weird to be at a competition not wearing a suit. That's strange.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Fun one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. If Vicky might convince me to go to a competition at some point. She's good at doing those kind of things. So, but my calendar's quite busy, so I don't know if I'll be free. Anyway, all the best, Cameron, with this one in December, and then going for a repeat +1 next year.
Yes.
Vicky, I don't know, heal up, but give me some time to get ahead on some of these lifts, and then we can do some training together. Thank you everyone for listening, those that chipped in the comments as well, anybody that's catching this after the fact or listening as an audio podcast, because you can do that as well. I'm actually back tomorrow. Normally it's kind of one a week, but I am back tomorrow, which is Thursday, correct? Is that correct? Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. Good. I am back tomorrow then, with Sophia Davenport, who is the coach, owner, and a utility player, I want to say, on the Houston Bandits. So we're going to find out what's going on in Texas and their plans for the next year. Thank you again to my wonderful guests, and yeah,